We've got so much to talk about. We're going to talk about the price, but we're not going to spend too much time talking about the price because there's a lot going on in the background. We've got to talk about the Jack Mallers announcement. It wasn't an Apple announcement like we expected. It was a anti-Apple announcement, and I think it's actually a bigger announcement than if we would have got an Apple announcement. Then we're going to talk about Luna buying AVAX. So Luna Foundation buying $200 million worth of Avalanche. Good move, bad move, stroke of genius, or is this going one step too far? Then we're going to talk about Near Protocol, because Near Protocol is breaking through all-time highs, and maybe it isn't going to stop. So that's another thing we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about the macro trends, and we're going to be talking about one date where a lot of people may be selling their crypto. So this is going to be a big show. It's going to be fun. It's a Friday. It's a banter show. So we've got our best friends here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do some giveaways. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I always watch the waiting room, and I watch to see the faces. I see everybody smiling when that song plays, especially on a Friday, Welcome back, guys. I'm Crypto Man Run, here again, bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. I've been here before, and I'm going to be here again later. Specifically, I'm going to be on our new channel. The new channel is Crypto Banter Microdose. So if you haven't been to our new channel, this channel is all about 2, 3, 4, 5-minute content for people who are time-starved. So if that is you, go to Crypto Banter Microdose. We're going to be rebranding it to Crypto Shorts. And subscribe, because we want to be giving you crypto love here. Probably about 10 videos a day are going to start dropping there with different topics, right through from charts to alpha to everything else. Let's get on with today's show on this channel. Today's Friday. On Fridays, we banter. It's going to be a big banter. If this is your first time with us, subscribe to our channel. Like this content. Let people know that we're getting out there. When we get to 3,000 likes today, we're going to do huge giveaways. I've got a whole bag of giveaways that I haven't given away the whole week. I've got ADA swap. I've still got $10,000 worth of ADA swap, which is probably now worth about 5 times that. I've got Bybit. I'm going to double people's portfolio. So if you have a Bybit account with our referral link, then we've got all your balances over here on our spreadsheet. And they're hidden over here, and we'll choose 5 accounts and we'll double your portfolio today. So that's going to be towards the end of the show. And then we're going to be talking altcoins at the end of the show. And one of the big questions is whether T-shares will carry on printing. It has been printing. You see the price has gone to $5,000 from about $3,000. And we're going to find out whether it's going to go up even more. So there's lots to talk about today. And I'm not going to be talking about it on my own. I've got my friends here. I've got a new friend, Tedtalksmacro, coming to us all the way from Aussie land. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning there. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, not bad, Rand. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
It's so good to have you on here, bro, because I've been following you on Twitter for so long. You're like my go-to macro guy. You're like, when there's macro shit, the first thing that I do is I go to Tedtalksmacro. And then I know that everything is a thread. So it's like, that's 20 minutes of your day are basically gone. What is it with Aussies and thread?
Sometimes it's even a day. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to get it all out there, and brain dump sometimes.
We have an Australian working with us, Miles Deutscher, and every time he does something, it's a thread. It drives me mad.
Yeah.
We've got James.
You can just get it out there.
Yeah, we got James with us. James, welcome, buddy.
Hey guys, good to see you all.
Yeah, we had some fun with you last week. The comments were amazing. People loved you, so we thought we'd bring you back this week. And then we got CTO LARSSON. And now this guy, I love his content. I think one of the best content creators in the space. This is also one of my go-to channels. So I thought we'd get you onto the Banter show, bring you some crypto banter love, and maybe introduce you to our community, introduce them to the amazing content that you make. And I'd love to have your mic on, because that way we could hear you. I think you're muted. There we go. You're still muted. Lars, you're muted, bro. Okay, I think he's going to try and connect. I think he's going to try and connect again. While he's connecting, let's quickly look at the Bitcoin price. Not much going on in the Bitcoin price right now. You've got 43,250, and I guess the carnage is actually happening on the main markets. The main markets haven't had a great time over the last couple of days. I think that is as a response to the FOMC minutes that were released and the quicker tapering of the balance sheet that we can probably expect. Then you've got the inflation numbers, which are due out next week. And I think the consensus is that the inflation numbers are going to be pretty high next week because we're going to see some of the inflation from the Russia-Ukraine invasion filtering into the market. And then after that, you got the Fed in May meeting to increase interest rates. And that could also start making it a little bit tough. So this doesn't feel good for traditional markets or for global markets. Ted, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely not. And definitely there's been a shift ever since November when we first heard those talks of tapering those bond purchases each month. The market reacted. And I think November, you'll see if you can pinpoint the exact day when Bitcoin started to fall down and risk markets started to pare back their gains that they had ever since that expansive monetary policy throughout 2020 and 2021. So, when that narrative changes, the market has to reprice and all of a sudden price in the realistic scenario that the Fed have to tighten to calm down inflation. The job market's good, the economy's in a pretty good spot, so they can afford to be a little bit more tighter than what they were getting the economy back on its feet after the COVID pandemic.
So I have a theory. Tell me where I'm wrong or where you think I'm not right. I think that up until this point in November, I think we agree that the narrative was all about growth. I think when we got to this point in November, the narrative changed to inflation and the tightening that the Fed would have to do around inflation. But my theory is that all of that was priced in over here. And that is what saw the markets coming down all the way down to here. And to me, I'm not a chartist, but when you break through this trend line, I thought that is when that narrative disappeared. We had the Russia-Ukraine invasion, which gave us the retest. And to me, we're still clearly in the new cycle. And for me, the new cycle seems like it's on the up, but not directly up. It's not up only. And I think that all this news of Fed tapering is priced into the market, and maybe even too priced into the market. And I'll tell you why I think it's too priced into the market. I think that the Fed can have these ambitions to increase interest rates very, very aggressively. And we are seeing it if you look at the CME predictions, that you can now see that there is almost 80% chance that they're going to increase by 50 basis points in May, and they're going to increase again in June. But after that, I think they're going to be in a pickle because they're going to see all this inflation coming in from the Russia-Ukraine invasion and the increase in commodity prices, which are going to cause increased inflation. And any increase in interest rates by the Fed may actually really cause a recession. And so I think that the worst is kind of priced in. What do you think?
I think it all depends on the data from this point onwards. So the Fed have said that the economic data is going to rule or dictate what they do in their future policy making decisions. So that's why the CPI print on Tuesday is going to be so important. If it shows double-digit inflation, which it very well could, the market's going to, I think, be very, very fearful of, back-to-back 50 basis point hikes and perhaps even more so towards the end of the year. So very much watching the data. And I don't think we can look too far ahead until we see a peak in the CPI numbers and we see the employment market start to flatten out, because that continues to be pretty strong in the US. So it's very data dependent, and it's a trader's market at the moment. That's why you're seeing these news events dictate what markets do. It's sell into those fearful events like CPI, like the meeting minutes the other day, and then unwind once the worst case scenario is realized. So I think the markets, it's good though, because the Fed's giving some nice forward guidance, and that's their job, to try and make markets move as organically as they can. And then it's coming to, once that worst situation is realized, the market can unwind and be like, okay, we've priced that in. What's the next thing to look forward to? So I think very much data driven at the moment. That's how I see it.
James, what do you think? Are 250 basis point interest rate hikes priced in? Is the Fed going to be able to increase interest rates to, I don't know, they're talking about 3% now by the end of the year? What do you think?
Yeah, the problem they have is, as I said before, they painted themselves into a box. the tipping point where you can start increasing interest rates without damaging GDP growth is about 70 to 77% of debt to GDP ratio. And they're at 130% right now. So every time they increase the interest rates by 25 basis points, they reduce GDP growth by about 5% potential of the total percentage growth. And that's the problem. So literally, if they keep on increasing interest rates, they are going to slow GDP growth. They're going to cause a recession. They're going to increase unemployment, and it's just going to be a shit show. So they're stuck. They're going to. The biggest challenge is inflation. It is completely out of control. They've lost the narrative. They've lost control. They are aware of that. They see the alarm bells ringing, but there's not much they can do. If they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. That's the problem.
So what do you think? Do you think that we're going to get two back-to-back 0.5s?
Yep.
One in
May,
then
they'll cut again with the next bad, print on unemployment or GDP growth. Then they're going to go back to money printing and go back to cutting rates. It'll be a temporary thing. They're trying to just smack inflation down real fast. That's their goal.
Yeah, I think we'll see inflation hopefully peak on Tuesday. I think there will be an increase again on last month's, but if that is the peak, we can probably be looking forward to it actually being priced in. At the moment, I don't think it's priced in just yet, depending on that data. So if we see it peak and then it comes to, what are we now, April's data, showing a decline from what we saw in March, then we could start to say that, the market can see some relief, some proper relief.
So I'll tell you what I think. I think that we have much more inflation to come. And I'm looking, this is the Goldman Sachs Commodities Index. I think you guys are all familiar with it.
Yep.
One thing that you can see is that the commodities spiked on the 8th of March, which was in March, so about a month ago. Now, remember that these commodities are only going to be priced into CPI, consumer products, 2 to 3 months from now. So this spike is only going to be at consumer on the shelves in 3 months. And that's when consumers are going to start to feel the pain of it. Now, you could argue that the bigger companies will actually massage it into the numbers, but you're massaging in an uptrend in the numbers and quite a significant uptrend into the numbers. So I think we haven't seen the worst of inflation. I think we may see the worst of Fed aggression, and we'll see them increase by 0.5, but I don't think we've seen the end of inflation. I think we're going to get an 8, maybe an 8.3 now, maybe even a bit more. And I still think we have a 9 and maybe even a double digit coming before end of June, July.
Yeah, but you have to realize as well, the number is cooked. So if you see a 9 print, it's really more than 20. And that's the problem. And the trickle-down effect of the impact of the Ukraine invasion, we've yet to really feel the pain from that. So I don't think we're going to hit the top. And if we do hit the top, it's completely contrived. That's my take.
Larsson, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm very interested can you hear me now, first and foremost?
We can hear you.
I can say greetings from Stockholm, Sweden. It's great to be on the show. Thank you for having me here. And I'm very interested, actually, to listening to all of you. I'm a technology guy. I'm not an economist. So these, the Fed meetings, the macro factors, I'm as beginner as everyone. I'm listening.
Amazing.
Amazing. So I'm very happy about that. But I think that one thing that could be interesting here is that if you feel that this is going to get worse a little bit before it gets better, and it's kind of temporary, that would fit well into, I'm very interested in technical analysis, and it kind of suits my mathematical sense. So I've always felt that it seems a little bit too easy. Are we really going to just turn up and run from here? It feels like maybe we need to shake everyone out one more time first. Do we need a big dip down to the range support at 30K or something and break that so everyone gets super scared and the last bull gives up and goes home? And that's the time when it turns up. That's one scenario that I've had in mind for quite some time, that could something crazy like that happen. And of course, it could be fueled by macro factors. And that's then the kind of narrative, like saying that's why it's happening. And then when it seems the grimmest day, it turns. When the last person has come.
I have a question for you. So you just said that we may see one correction take us back down to 32, 35. Let me ask you a question. Do you want that to happen? Would you prefer that Bitcoin goes tomorrow? So would you prefer that in the next 2 weeks, Bitcoin goes to 50,000 or Bitcoin goes to 35,000? What would you prefer for the next 2 weeks?
I would love to see a big dip. Absolutely, 100%. It's funny because we had a show yesterday with James was on also, and there was someone who asked and said that, Larsson, you're so selfish. You're wishing for a drop. Why don't you think about everyone else? And you're so selfish. But yeah, I do wish for that. I wish that because the trend is kind of up as a whole. The longer term trend is up, and the ideal situation is that the trend is up, and then comes a mega dip without kind of disturbing the overall trend down to a support level, and we get to buy that, and then it's off to the races. That would be the ideal scenario. So that's what I'm hoping for. But of course, hope is not the strategy. We have to play what happens. But that's what I secretly hope for back here in Stockholm.
The reason why I asked you is because I feel the same way. I woke up this morning, I looked at Bitcoin, and I was like, damn, it's still above 43,000. And I've got a shopping list, and I need to buy that shopping list. And to be honest, every day that I don't, because my view is so long, because I'm buying these coins for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, my view is long enough that I need one more dip. I need to get Stargate at under $2. I need to get ApeCoin at $5 or $6. I need that buying opportunity. So every day I wake up and kind of secretly I look at my CoinGecko and I think to myself, damn, or my trading view, and I think to myself, damn, like, another day of up. Which is weird because usually I really love that. But this time I feel like all my chess pieces aren't in the right places for the next leg of the game. James, what do you think? Would you prefer 35,000 first or 55,000 first? Because you're a bit of a trader guy. You like the options, and you're playing all the strategies.
Yeah. Well, I just look again. I have a different perspective slightly. I just see a very slow grind up, and you see that by the higher lows all the time. I think we did hit our bottom. We had a kind of like almost like a double bottom one with a higher low, 23rd, 24th of January, 24th of Feb, same thing, boom, boom. And since then, it's just been under accumulation. And I go back to the on-chain metrics. I go back to the macro. Everybody's looking for a safe port. And the narrative is just increasing. And there's nowhere else to go right now. Even if you listen to people like at the Bitcoin conference yesterday and the day before, I mean, it's just bullish as hell. I do not see us seeing 30K unless we see something really bad happen. Like I'm talking about a severe black swan hit the market hard. I don't think the tax selling is going to do that. It's not going to put much of a dent into it or anything else. So I remain much more bullish. Okay. I do not see 32K happening.
That's what I want to be clear also. I'm not predicting this will happen. I'm just saying that if it happens, I would be very happy. But of course, we have like Do Kwon buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin. And of course, that's going to affect the price. And
well, not anymore.
He's finished the market.
He's finished buying Bitcoin. He's finished, well, not almost finished buying Bitcoin, but now he's moving on to buying AVAX. Before we talk about that, Ted, I'll ask you the question, then we'll talk about this American tax selling, because there's about 9 days to go before the taxes have to be in. First, Ted, 35, what would you prefer inside your heart of hearts? Would you prefer 35,000 Bitcoin or a 45,000 or a 55,000 Bitcoin next week? In your heart of hearts.
I think, like you guys, I'd like a dip to load back up, because recently I de-risked a whole heap of my portfolio, so I'd love to get back in at a cheaper price. So yeah, I'm with you guys.
It just shows that we all have such conviction, because we want, if you have conviction, you want the dip before you want the upside, because you want to buy more. If you don't have conviction, you want the upside so you can get out. Let's talk about tax selling in the US. So 2021 was, I think they said the most money was ever made in crypto ever was in 2021. Americans have until the 18th of April, I think the date is, to pay, the 18th of April, to pay their taxes. A survey done by CNBC says that the majority of crypto investors still aren't ready to pay their taxes. That was done yesterday or Wednesday. Look, I'm not surprised. First, I'm not surprised. I know a lot of Americans will never be ready to pay their taxes and actually aren't paying taxes. But the ones that are paying taxes, do you not think that we may get a sell-off next week? Because it's not only crypto taxes. It was a good year for the stock market as well. And a lot of people traded throughout the pandemic, and those people have a tax liability. Now, there's a week to go, and usually in that week you realize, oh man, I owe 10 grand, I owe 20 grand. I need to sell something, because that's the only place you can find liquidity. Or is that already happened?
Okay, I'll jump in because I'm the only one on this cast who's actually in the US. So anybody moving large amounts of money around has their tax situation organized. All right. Otherwise, you just get penalties and fined, etc. And they've done this months ahead of time. I also believe that the IRS will give a deadline, because for my corporate taxes, they extended the deadline. I believe they're going to do the same for retail taxes. And second of all, the people that aren't organized are only moving small amounts of money around. So even if they do discover, oh my God, I owe $10,000 in taxes, that selling pressure isn't going to hit the market very much. So that's what I say.
Okay. Any views from Ted? Any views about the American tax selling? I mean, America is the center of the universe, especially for people who live in Australia.
Yeah, I think if these guys were preparing for, these people that are managing large sums of money, are probably worried about it, and they've probably already got that out of the way and ticked that off their list. I would think they're not going to do it, the day before or the month before. So I think these guys are moving large sums of money, and they would have had their books in order a long time before the deadline.
Correct.
Okay, so we're saying that the reason why Bitcoin is going down, probably because traditional markets are weak. Reason why traditional markets are weak, probably because they're expecting high inflation next week, and they're expecting a very aggressive tapering from the Fed. Fed said up to $95 billion a month if everything goes according to plan. So that's why the markets are going down. And it's not not much to do with tax selling, and specifically not in crypto. Let's turn our attention now to the announcement yesterday at the Bitcoin 2022 conference. 25,000 people there, biggest conference ever. A lot of newbies there. We were all expecting an Apple announcement from Jack Mallers because he teased an Apple announcement. I think we got a whole lot more than an Apple announcement. And I'll play the announcement for you just so that you can understand what happened for those people that weren't there. We were expecting him to announce some partnership with Apple because he posted a picture wearing an Apple hat in front of a Chase Bank and pulling a sign. And so a lot of people including us, anticipated an Apple announcement. But this was an anti-Apple announcement. So it started off like this.
I mean, for the consumer, you get new P2P innovation, mobile banking, trading. There's a lot of tech innovation in finance with access to the phone. But when it comes to this, 1949 caviar, my Cash App gives me a Visa card. Robinhood gives me a MasterCard. Apple Card, Apple, MasterCard. Even Apple Pay doesn't help. Apple Pay innovated in not letting me swipe the card. I just tap my phone. But then the payment network and the banks are going to still wazah each other.
So we were watching this live last night with our community. It was such a great event. More people turned up to watch on our stream than we're watching on the Bitcoin 2021 or the 2022 stream. It was a lot of fun. And we were all expecting an Apple announcement and maybe an integration of Apple Pay into Strike. That wasn't the announcement. And I realized at this point that wasn't the announcement. But what he was going for was actually something which I think was way bigger. Here's what he was going for.
Cut you a break. So what would innovation look like? I'm about to show you. I'm about to reel off a bunch of announcements. Here we go. So first and foremost, Strike's officially partnered with Shopify. Yeah. So it's live. Go check it out. And guys, I'm a kid, man. I love this shit. The world's going to regret giving me this much attention, man. And so I look up to this brand, Warren Lotus. It's one of the best streetwear fashion brands in the world. Like all my favorite athletes and my favorite rappers, they all wear it. Super popular. And I call them. I'm like, yo, guys, there's a cheaper, faster, more innovative, more inclusive way to accept payments. I'm not pulling your chain, bro. I swear to God. You use Shopify, right? He goes, yeah, I use Shopify. I mean, and I know that you use the Waza rails from 1949, but let me plug you into this. And so This is a demo. Watch this.
I think the demo didn't work for a couple of seconds. Oh, here it is.
All right. Boom. Okay. Yes. Hey, the next video is very, very important. Okay. That's fucking cool. It's really fucking cool that Cash App just checked out with Warren. Now, I want to walk you through this. Let's go through it. Let's break it down. It looked like a lot of magic. What just happened? The transaction, I'll publish this. You can play it back. It's $115.94. Okay, so Warren was the merchant, and Cash App was on the consumer side. This is shit that has never been possible. First innovation since 1949. Okay, so boom, we initiate the payment. What happened? The Cash App user spent just over 250,000 sats. The Bitcoin hopped on to the superior payment network, the one that's better than the boomer was Americard network. There's only 2 parties involved in this transaction. There were not 3 other intermediaries, only 2. The Bitcoin moved at the speed of light, and then just before it got there, converted to dollars, and Warren got $150, $15.94, and he was mind blown. He was like, yo, it didn't work. I didn't get any Bitcoin. I'm like, no, dude, I know. He's like, how am I going to report this on my audit financials? We're a big company. We sell millions of dollars to close every single launch. That was insane. It just got there right away. Right? And I could have used Strike on this side if I wanted to. And so I don't like spending my Bitcoin. I could have spent the dollars and it could have auto-converted. Even cooler, a user in Australia could have used the wallet of Satoshi and used Aussie dollars, right? And if Warren, the thing that's cool about Warren, whatever happens on the left, Warren gets $115. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what's going on the left. Warren used a superior payment network to receive the $115.94. He doesn't need to report BTC on his balance sheet. He doesn't have.
So effectively, he's recreated the payment rails to allow people to transfer fiat using the Bitcoin network from any original currency using Bitcoin, so eliminating Visa, MasterCard, all the payment rails and all the banks. And the merchant receives the payment, the currency in any currency that they want with 0 slippage and pretty negligible transaction fees. And the reason why he's done that is he is going after the 3% that merchants are losing and consumers are losing to credit card providers and payment facilitators, which can now go straight into the Bitcoin network. You ask me, that sounds like a much bigger announcement than integrating with Apple, which is just exactly the same thing, but just putting your card inside your phone. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's just a shame about the timing, I think. It's very bullish for Bitcoin as to have some additional utility, but yeah, it's not the best time to announce it. Maybe 6 months ago it would have sent price mooning, but not right now.
Yeah, nothing.
James, what do you think?
Yeah, nothing is sending price mooning right now. Like insurance companies are adding Bitcoin to Treasury and stuff like that. But what the world doesn't understand that the positive is, and I agree with you, Ran, it's bigger than Apple because it accelerates the merchant game theory of getting away from the traditional rails, the 3% penalty that others have to pay. Now, Amazon, Apple, Oracle's a big maker of POS systems as well, just like NCR and Blackhawk. They have to follow. The problem that nobody talks about is, because we were talking about taxes earlier, is every time, IRS, I don't know what it's like in South Africa or other places, but the IRS consider crypto to be property for tax purposes. So every time you buy a bag of peanuts or a case of beer or whatever, you're actually incurring a tax event.
So
And the
hold on,
nightmare behind that's pain.
I'm going to stop you there for two reasons. The first thing is he has already partnered up with exactly the two providers that you've said. So
Caviar Party.
here we go.
So that's why Strike's also partnered with Blackhawk. Blackhawk is one of the largest payment providers in the world for alternative payments. They have 400,000 storefronts and 37,000 partners. They're the ones that are behind shit like this. Have you ever checked yourself out at a CVS? You ever used one of these? And then my haymaker, we've also partnered with the largest point of sale provider in the entire planet, NCR.
So those two partnerships were announced. And then the other thing is, at no point here is the user using crypto. You are using USD from your Cash App, from your Strike, from any app in the world. And you are sending USD via Lightning Network over the Bitcoin rails, and it's being redeemed as USD or USA or whatever currency on the other side. And so the user is not selling any crypto. It is just a way of sending fiat over the crypto rails. That is for me what the genius is here. He's managed to use the Lightning Network with his integration to send fiat over a crypto network, so you get all the benefits of fiat and all the benefits of crypto. Tax benefits of fiat, and speed benefits and instant finality and decentralization and no intermediaries of crypto. So I went onto my Twitter last night and I asked two questions, and this is where it gets quite funny. So I said, was the Jack Mallers announcement bigger than an Apple announcement? 48.4% of people said yes, and 51.6% of people said no. And then I asked the same question, but I asked it slightly different. I said, if you were a CEO of a payments company and your team presented you with two deals, which one of them would you close? You can only close one. One, integration into Apple Pay using old rails and a new consumer technology, or two, replacing the payment rails globally. And then the vote swung the other way, and significantly the other way. So I don't know. To me, I think it was way big.
I think many people also. Sorry, please go ahead. Yeah.
No, but it doesn't impact kind of Bitcoin adoption per se. The reason what I was trying to mention was there's a lot of confusion when people first saw the release. It's like, oh, I can use my Bitcoin to buy peanuts, like it did in the store. They didn't translate the fiat to Bitcoin to fiat. And again, I'm extremely bullish on this because it really accelerates the game theory and it disrupts traditional finance, which is very exciting to me too. Sorry.
I think many people who have never run a business or run an international business, they don't realize how bad the payment systems are. I think many people, maybe in the audience, who are based in the US and run a local US business, then it works pretty well. But I'm coming from Sweden. Sweden is a very small country, and we've had a lot of multinational companies originate from here, like IKEA and Ericsson and Volvo and so on and so forth. We have the highest number of multinational companies per capita, and of course, a lot of people have studied why have so many big companies come out of Sweden, and I think the key reason is that we realized from the start that we're small. So there's no point trying to build anything that is addressing some Swedes. I mean, you can see all of them walking outside the door almost. That's how few people we are. So you have to think global from the start. That's the only way. And then that kind of leads to a better strategic setup. And in the end, they become global. And I mean, receiving payments globally is like nothing has happened since Elon Musk started PayPal. I used PayPal for one of my businesses back in 2000, and I think it was 2002 or something like that. That's 20 years ago. The website looks the same as it did then. It works the same. And it's still one of the best solutions for receiving payments in the world 20 years later. And it has literally not been changed for 20 years. Even the website looks the same. And I feel that real innovation in this will be huge. And if this becomes a part of that solution, that will be huge. And I think just like the rest of you said, it will not impact Bitcoin price today. because there is no one who needs to go and buy a lot of Bitcoin to make this work. But it can really legitimize the network, and it can make it used by a much larger variety of people. I think it's extremely bullish, and I agree with you. I think it's bigger than people realize.
I think it's 3% of all credit card transactions annually if it's disrupted, and I think that becomes huge. And if he's done this, and I know he has done this, and he's already got 2 partners, and he's reaching out to more partners, I think it's absolutely huge. Ted, what do you think? Did you listen to the announcement? Was it?
I didn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, it definitely adds great utility to the BTC network, but just the timing surrounding it, as far as impacting what everyone wants to pump their bags, I don't think that's going to do it straight away, given the environment that we find ourselves in. But longer term, definitely, it's great to see adoptions like that happening, because it gives a greater utility and more of a use case for crypto to stay around for a long time.
Got it. All right, let's degen. Time to degen. We've had half an hour of calm macro Bitcoin talk, and now we're going to give the people what they want, because our audience are degens. They want to degen into altcoins, and I know that you guys also want to degen into altcoins, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just degen. Let's just warn everyone that it's the degen only zone. So let's just quickly. All right, degens, let's degen. All right, I think the first part of the degen news is Luna coming out and not only buying their biggest Bitcoin purchase this week, $230 million this week, but now making an announcement that they have bought or are buying $100 million worth of AVAX, and then they are swapping in an OTC transaction another $100 million. So you've now got $100 million in the TFG, and then you've got another $100 million in LFG. One is to support the peg, and the other one is to support the ecosystem. Thoughts? Because there's 2 sides to this coin. Some people are saying it's another stroke of genius by Do Kwon. On the one hand, he is now combining 2 of the fastest growing ecosystems, and it's almost like they're partners. On the other hand, you're getting people on Twitter going, look, I'm all for the idea of backing the stable coin with Bitcoin. I'm not so much on the idea of backing the stable coin with, for lack of a better word, another shitcoin. Thoughts, James? I see you smiling, and I know that this is very much in your domain.
This is a head scratcher. So this blew me away last night, and I couldn't sleep last night thinking about the angles, because you have to understand the incentives behind everything. So Avalanche is now vulnerable to whatever demand shocks UST undergoes, and vice versa. So I got the idea that, okay, Anchor was going to have liquidity problems, and UST was a house of cards. It was going to fall apart unless they did something different, get away from the algorithmic stablecoin. They did that with Bitcoin backing, and I thought that was a stroke of genius. You know, backing the algorithmic with a pristine asset made complete sense. But now they're layering more risk with an inflationary asset. The AVAX token inflation last year was 48% over the last 12 months. And I always try to dig into the why. Is it a mutual reciprocal bribe? Is it digital back scratching? Is it the GameFi angle? Is it all of the above? I don't know. Is it the VCs backing? If you look at the VCs behind Avalanche and Luna, and you compare it to the VCs behind something like Solana, they're completely different fiefdoms. And that could be a key angle there as well. So I don't like this unless they're just going to keep it limited to 100 million. If they start diluting the value of the Bitcoin backed asset, then I don't like it. Then I'm going to sell. And in full disclosure as well, I own both Avalanche and Luna.
Lars, what do you think?
I had an idea immediately when I saw this, because I've been part of, before crypto, I've been part of business deals and so on, and many times you can't announce everything. My feeling was that there is more to this story than it's announced. That was my clear picture, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. But then what would make sense is the following, because Luna isn't really a smart contract platform, and neither is Bitcoin, and neither is USD. So if they should grow bigger, if they think long term, like where is blockchain going? Where is crypto going? Do they have the building blocks to do that? No, they don't really have that in that sense. So what do they need? Maybe they need a stronger partner for building smart contracts and that whole ecosystem. And who should that be then? Well, then you have a number of contenders here. And maybe there's been some deal making going on, some strategic planning, and you start by, doing something. You buy something here and there and to kind of solidify the partnership. That was my guess. I don't have any insights. I don't know anything else than what is publicly announced, but that was my immediate thought. They're thinking longer. They want to put up a bigger fight with against I don't know, Ethereum, Solana, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but I don't know.
You did right.
Ted, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is, I don't know. I think it's a bold move backing a stable coin with volatile assets. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it plays out in the long term. It's going all right at the moment when price is going up, but yeah, we'll see.
So
how
let
it
me
goes
tell
in the
you-
long term. It's
Or
ballsy.
they just want to speculate buy little degen altcoins with a couple $100 million here and there, pocket money somewhere.
So I'll walk you through my thinking. So when I heard this, I was like, no, this is not what I want to hear, because I think that now this is going a little bit too far. This is like, I think the move to back UST with Luna, with Bitcoin was a stroke of genius. But I think that what I was worried about was that Do Kwon was getting carried away now. It was so much fun making the announcements about Bitcoin, and there was so much recognition for it, and you brought in the whole Bitcoin community. And then when I heard this, I was like, no, this is not what I want to hear, because I'm a big bag holder of Luna, and I don't want the UST being backed by assets which you could say are much more volatile than UST and much more volatile than Bitcoin. And specifically, Avalanche is quite a volatile asset because it's quite a young ecosystem. So that's where my thought process started. But there is another side to this. And the other side to this is saying, look, if we spend $200 million in marketing, okay, now $100 million is to defend the peg. We'll just buy it, we hold it. It'll probably appreciate over time, but maybe not, but maybe yes. And we buy another $100 million because we are actually going to use Avalanche infrastructure. Because one of the things that they said is they're going to launch a gaming subnet on Avalanche with their new subnets. So they're going to need money to pay gas. They're going to need tokens to pay gas. And $100 million, if you're thinking about a big ecosystem, is actually not a big amount. I thought to myself that this actually sounds like a very smart diplomatic marketing move. And for $200 million, you're effectively buying a second community. So to me, the way I see it is if he stops now and that's it, and it's 200 million and it's 100 million in each pot, I can live with it. But if it becomes USTs backed by a basket of stuff and I'm investing in Do Kwon's fund of funds, that's not what I signed up for. That's kind of where my headspace is at. But I think I do see the genius here. What I learned from Do is they spent a lot of marketing money to get Anchor going as a market. For me, Anchor is actually marketing budget. It's like you spend $550 million and you create with that demand for a stable coin. And by the way, you're also building a bank. And so I think he's done a similar thing here. He spent $200 million and it's not really spent because it probably will appreciate, because Avalanche probably will go up in time. Maybe not as fast as Luna, maybe faster, but maybe not as fast. And so it's like all you're losing is the increment between the two. And for me, that's quite a cheap price to pay to buy over the whole Luna community. That's how my thinking was.
Do you think it could continue? Will he go and buy some other coins, say ADA or something that has a huge community to get that community, win the community over, and then you go buy another project and you get all those communities more positively? So if you read into what Emin, who was one of the founders of Avalanche, said, he said instead of creating their own stablecoin, they would rather just use the king of stablecoins, which is UST. Now, if I were to offer you a deal, and the deal goes something like this, we're either going to copy your stablecoin and try and build a superior version on our chain, or buy $200 million worth of our stock and then use ours.
which one would you go for?
Yeah, that's
I would buy $200 million. And the truth is that if I could do the same deal on Cardano and the same deal on Solana, I would do it. Because the flip side of it is what we saw yesterday with Near Protocol. So Near Protocol also came out with an announcement yesterday, and we're going to talk about Near Protocol in a couple of seconds. But part of the announcement was the launch of this USN, which is an algorithmically backed stablecoin on Near. And also the thing here was that they're talking about a 20% APY immediately. So the future is near that Near will announce the launch of a stablecoin on April 20th, which will provide an annual interest rate of, guess what? 20%, modeled on UST. Okay, now what's a better play here? Would you rather have bought $200 million worth of Near and been the de facto supported UST stablecoin on the community, or not paid it, and not even paid it, just bought diplomatic move, marketing move, and then partnered up with Near and then effectively got network effect across multiple networks? I think for me, 10 out of 10 times, I would just buy the partner protocol if I believe in the technology behind the partner protocol. Interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, there's just a cry of desperation from Near Protocol, if you ask me. And I hope there's no Near army out there. But everything, we've been looking at Near Protocol. That's kind of in our top 20 smart contract platforms. It has a terrible tokenomics and what we call a crypto compendium score. Like it scores in the bottom 40 percentile. It's got all the usual suspects: high inflation, high centralization, insider distribution, you name it. And in terms of their smart contract platform profile score, it's also terrible across all the metrics you look at: utility adoption, TVL, et cetera, is just not good. And this is a cry of desperation from a Binance Smart Chain type chain to try and get some relevance and try grow.
Wow. This discussion is about to get really juicy. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've been looking into Near, and I'm probably looking at it a bit more surface level than you are, but I'm seeing a different picture. So let me walk you through what I'm seeing, and then maybe together let's debunk this or whatever. Yeah. So from a technological point of view, it seems like it's very good technology. It is effectively what ETH 2.0 is trying to be, in that it is a proof of stake, sharding blockchain. It's got what they call dynamic sharding. So unlike Ethereum, where the shards are all basically one size, this is dynamic sharding. It's EVM, Rust, and WASM compatible, so that's cool. Now, I agree with you that it's not decentralized yet, but very few protocols are decentralized from the start. They've only got 73. At the time of writing this, there were only 73 validators versus 200,000 for Ethereum, 1,462. So I agree with you that it's not decentralized yet, but it is very fast and very smart tech, and the tech works. I think Naval Ravikant came out quite famously and said that Near Protocol is what Ethereum 2.0 wants to be. Okay, then they raised $350 million now, led by Tiger Global, and a whole lot of other funds. They backed by a whole lot of funds, including Alameda. So we found that this is Alameda's currently one of Alameda's biggest positions is actually Near Protocol. Then they are also backed by a whole lot of other funds, including DCG, who now say that Near Protocol is their third biggest holding after the Ethereum protocol. Okay, so far it's all adding up. From a developer activity, it looks to me, when I do the analysis, and I may be completely wrong, and I may be taking it out of context of times, but it looks to me like the developer ecosystem is actually one of the most thriving developer ecosystems. Let me try and find this bit of information. So here we go. Developer ecosystem, Near Protocol this is the number of days since commits on GitHub. So they're quite an active developer community. Their developer community is growing in leaps and bounds. And if you look at the top, one of the most held protocols by VCs today is Near Protocol. So after Polkadot, you're getting Near, Oasis, and Terra, and Arweave as well, Arweave slightly less, as the most held one. They've had an ecosystem grant of $800 million, and now they've raised more money for an ecosystem grant. And so when I put all of those together, now it sounds to me like you've done a bigger deep dive than I have. But to me, those points are all points which say, maybe you can't sleep on Near Protocol anymore. Maybe the market's right about Near Protocol.
Well, it's got a long way to go. It's, you know, the Binance Smart Chain is behind it, and they've developed on top of that. We all know that. Every time I see Grayscale and whatever the group is that owns Grayscale again, you just mentioned them. I've got this series that I call like Crypto Uncovered, where I dig into stuff, and then when you break down all the different funds that Grayscale has, you have to ask the question, why? You know, and it goes back to incentives drive action. You look at their digital large cap fund, and they throw in Stellar Lumens into their SCP platform and a lot of type of stuff, and they have got weird portfolios like Litecoin Trust and Horizon Trust and all this type of stuff. I think, and this is going to be very political, but I think they're getting their pockets lined by this protocol to have such a huge holding, and they'll spin off some Grayscale funds that are near funds, etc., in the near future. But again, all we look at is how it competes with other chains. Yes, it doesn't take a lot to beat ETH 2.0 at 20 TPS, but you got to think bigger than that as we go forward. And I know they do have a lot of plans, but they got a lot of catch up to do. And I know they're about to break a new all-time high. And the chart looked great a couple of weeks ago. And all of that paints a good picture. But when I look at fundamentals of the chain, it does not score well on any metric, especially not the inflation of 40% or so. And I hate tokens with inflation. We're in crypto to get away from kind of inflation and infinite money printing and stuff like that. And things like that just ding it for me.
Lars, what do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I will definitely do a deep dive video on my channel about Near. I haven't done that yet. And there's a few interesting things. I think actually both of you are right. Everything that James is saying, James has really done deep dive on this. This is correct. Then what is also correct, what you're saying here, Rand, that they have a lot of momentum, they have a lot of money. So what surprises me a little bit, who have been in technology, like developing technology trends, what surprises me that not more people are doing is to kind of build on the brand and accept that, okay, the technology wasn't that great, but now we have a huge brand, we have huge momentum, and we have a lot of money. And then you can build whatever technology you want. Could something like that happen? I don't know, but I think that that's a trend that we will be seeing more in the future of these projects, because they do have shortcomings, absolutely. Looking at the chart looks great. They are on the verge of a breakout on both BTC chart and on the USD chart. The trend is up. I have something that I use for assessing if the trend is up or down.
Do you want to share your screen? Do you want to share your screen and show it to us?
It's one of the most amazing charts, actually. I'll give you that. From a technical perspective, it looks very juicy.
I can do that. I can.
That's what they want you to see, though.
Good man, Ted.
I need to reconnect in that case. So.
Okay. Now, while we're talking, Bitcoin's just gone through 44,000. So I think that's at least our work here has been pumping. Ted, any thoughts?
Exactly. But I just speak through it instead. So the trend is up. Large line is up, which is my trend indicator of choice for assessing is there a consistent trend or not. And yes, there is a consistent trend, and that one is up. It's on both BTC chart, on the USD chart, where have formed a rounding bottom. And if that confirms, if it breaks out, most assets at that time rally at least the height of the rounding bottom. So it looks good from that perspective, but will it last long term? I don't know. I think they need to do more than they have done so far to do that. But
would you buy it now?
Interesting, definitely.
Would you buy it now?
Right now, I would definitely not buy it, but it could be a good trade if it breaks out of the all-time high on the BTC chart, and then a stop loss below.
Ted, what do you think?
I'm pretty uninformed when it comes to Near. I've seen it pop up all over Twitter recently, which probably tells you that it's not the best time to buy. Maybe wait for a dip.
Time to sell.
Take some off the table.
It's interesting. I'm sure that you all see the same thing. The moment when you start seeing a lot of people writing have you looked at this project? Can you look at this project, and so on? That's almost always at the top.
At the top.
I want to say one thing, Ran, because when preparing for this show, I spoke with some people who have watched each and every one of your shows, and one Swedish person here said that Ran actually got me to buy FTM, Luna, Rune, AR, Sol, and AVAX last summer when they were at the bottom and no one wanted to buy them. And I think that's really, you've done something great there. That's really how to think. When no one is interested, no one wants to buy it, that's the time to really take a deep look. And you've clearly done that there. And I think that it is harder than it seems. It's one thing to be interested in the project that is pumping now, but it's necessary to have a process of some kind. And if there's one thing that I wish that people take with them from my appearance here, is that you absolutely need a process. I realized this kind of late in life, actually. I started with crypto in 2017, and I bought some Link, I bought some Lend, which became Aave in sometime, when was it, early 2018, and they went nowhere. And I felt, I was wrong. This Link, I thought it was a great idea, but seems like it's not going anywhere. And same with Land. I mean, what is that? It didn't. I thought it was a good idea, but it seems like it's not going. So I sold, that project. I sell them and so on, and then they went up 1000x, right? And I was just a little bit too early. But that was really when I realized for myself that, my God, I need to build some kind of process here. You need tools and processes and methodology, because otherwise your intuition will lead you wrong. You will feel, when everyone is talking about the project, you will feel FOMO, like, oh, I'm missing it. Why is everyone talking about this project? Why don't I have any? And then you buy. And when the actual time to buy, that's when it feels dead. It feels like this is going nowhere. I was wrong. This project is absolutely garbage because price is not moving. That's the time to buy. And if you don't have a process, you don't have a tools and so on, your intuition will always lead you wrong consistently.
Exactly.
And that is really my most important learning throughout this whole crypto journey, actually.
So I'll tell you, my process is very simple. I buy when I feel it's the most uncomfortable to buy, but I buy things that are fundamentally very, very strong. And once I buy something, I don't really sell it. I mean, I've got four reasons to sell. One is to rebalance my portfolio. Two is if I need living expenses. Usually that doesn't come from my crypto. Three is if I need to reinvest. So if I need to reinvest, that's one of the other reasons. So for me, there's very few reasons where I sell things. And I always talk about, like, when I had Phantom for a long time. It was at under 1 cent. And I held it there for 3 years. I just held it for 3 years. It went 1 cent, below 1 cent, 1 cent, below 1 cent. And only in January 2021 did the thing start moving to $3. And that's pretty much happened to me on all of my Bitcoin. So I think I'm different from a lot of people because I buy and I very rarely sell. You know, I very, very, very rarely sell. I'm a buyer which holds for long periods of time. But I think we will do a separate show with all of you. And while I've got you all here, all three of these guests have YouTube channels. They're all very different. All three of these guys are my go-to people for certain things. James has one of the most entertaining channels in the world. It's also amazingly quantitative, full of models, a lot of fun models. You know, how much money do you need to retire? I love that part of it. Lars is very, very, very good at deep dives. Like when I need to listen to a deep dive and very, very, very well produced content, then that's where I go. Ted is new, so he's got a very small channel, but we need to blow it up. So Banter Fam, there is a referral, there is a YouTube link below. Just smash that YouTube link. He's new, and his stuff is incredible. Specifically, he does these daily updates, which are what to expect in the day, weekly updates. A lot of it's macro. He gives you this amazing, very balanced, no shill, no hype type of view. So really a place to go. Really a place to go. Guys, we're all out of time. Loved having you guys on. I'm sure the family loved having you guys on.
Can I ask 30 seconds? Can I ask a 30 seconds?
Sure.
Because I need help from everyone who's listening here. And that is about regulation. We have in the EU here, there's a huge debate about the regulation. And I think I know what to do because I've been here before. We've solved this once already in my previous industry, in the telecom industry. It seems like that would not be controversial, but believe me, it was. It was at least it was as controversial as crypto is, and we solved it. And the way we solved it was not, the politicians didn't try to create the solution. It's too difficult. It's too difficult for lawmakers to create a lawful intercept type solution that solves criminal justice, that solves national security for anti-terrorist financing, that solves tax compliance. To solve that is like thousands of pages of technical documentation. And they kind of try to shortcut that and try to write it.
So how do we fix it?
So how to fix it is to do the same. So I made a video where I tried to, very brief, try to explain this. And I think it's 19 minutes long or something, so that they have a chance to watch it. It's on my channel. And
let's link the video. Let's link the video, guys.
If someone lives in EU, please send it. If you think it's good, watch it first. Of course, see if you think it's the right approach. In that case, please send it to your elected representatives and ask them to at least look at this before they decide to, evict crypto, the next major technology revolution of the world, out of the whole region. Because
I think I watched that video. That was the one about a letter to the EU or something, right? Is that how you?
That's right.
I watched that video. It's a fantastic video. We'll link that video in the description link here, so go and have a look at it. Remember to follow all of these guys. Remember also to follow our second channel, which is our Microdose channel. 10 pieces of content come out there every single day, charts of a day. There's 2 clips coming out just after the show about Avalanche, about Luna, about Near Protocol, about Jack Matter's announcement. So follow that channel too. Otherwise, I will see you guys again on Monday. I will chat to you guys again soon. Much love, my friends.